Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways to make found poetry, and these are the supplies that I recommend. If you don't have all of these supplies, that's okay. The most important thing is just that you have something to write on and something to write with. So if you have a journal that you want to do this in, or just a piece of paper. I like cutting up construction paper to the size of index cards, but you can just use index cards or anything that you have on hand. And then most importantly, you're going to want to have a collection of books and magazines that you can draw words and inspiration from. So the first method that I'm going to show you is the magazine clipping method. And to do this, you're going to just start flipping through a magazine. Try not to overthink it, and just, if you see a word that pops out at you, you can highlight it with a pen or a pencil, or you can tear out the page and cut it out later. It can help to do this process somewhat quickly so that you bypass your inner judge and you're not overanalyzing anything. It helps to have different types of magazines because they're going to have different imagery and different words that are going to prompt different things in you. You can cut out single words or you can cut out phrases. Just anything that really resonates with you in that moment is going to be a great starting point for any found poem. A lot of magazines are very image heavy. So poetry magazines or old books are great places to get interesting words. This collecting part is really fun, but I've found that if you get too many words, it can be overwhelming. So I try to stick to around 10 to 20 words or phrases. Once I feel like I have enough, then I start to just spread out the words and see if any phrases seem to go well together. This part again is just really playful. Just follow your intuition. Don't worry about proper grammar or whether a phrase makes sense. Think more about whether you like the way it sounds or if it captures a mood or a feeling. And you may not end up wanting to use all the words that you cut out, so you can put them in a collection and use them later. Which is nice to have because then you don't have to flip through magazines every time you want to make one of these poems. Once you have some poems that you are satisfied with, then you can pull out your papers and start gluing your poems down. When I first started making found poetry, I started on index cards, and so I've just gotten used to using this size of paper and I really like it. But you could glue these into a journal or on a piece of art. I find that they incorporate well into like a collage, but there's something about the index card size that I just feel fits perfectly for the size of poem that I want to make, and it's less threatening that way. For this poem, I felt like there were some words missing, so I actually made my own that I added to this, just to make the grammar flow a little bit better. So all you'll need for Blackout poetry is some kind of black marker and a book that you don't mind writing in and altering. I have this American poetry book that I got at a thrift store, and I just flipped to a random page. So for this process, you're going to kind of do the same thing as magazine clippings, where you just scan the words and circle any that really resonate with you in that moment or that stand out to you. Once you've circled all the words that you want to use, then you'll just black out all the other words. This is where the brush pen comes in handy, and another fun way to do this is to just paint the whole page black other than the words that you've circled. One thing that I like to do is to write down the poem that I made on an index card. And this is just a way to save them with my other found poems. This last way is the simplest way, and you don't need to alter any books or use scissors or glue or anything like that. I like to use some of my favorite poetry books for this, books that I don't want to cut up or write on. So similar to before, you're just gonna flip through a poetry book or some kind of literature. It doesn't really matter as long as the words are inspiring to you. So just start flipping through and write down any words that catch your eye. Again, don't think too much about this. Just if a word pops out at you for whatever reason, just write it down, and you're gonna be creating a collection of words to draw from. And I've found that it's helpful to have multiple poetry books because different writers have different writing styles, and this just kind of mixes it up and can make your poems have more interesting and unique combinations. Once you have about 10 to 20 words on your list, then you're going to do what you did before, where you kind of play around with different phrases. Put the words in different combinations and just see what comes up. I'm always amazed at how the words and phrases just come together to make something that I'd never be able to come up with on my own. So I hope this was helpful and that you enjoy and have fun with this intuitive and healing process, and that you can make some poems that can spark your creativity.